like to call to order the Select Board meeting of April 8th, 2024. We are going to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21.
Motion to go into executive session.
Do we have a second? Second. Okay, we vote on that, please. We're going to hand count vote. Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald? Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
And Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Thank you, and the chair votes yes. The board will discuss an individual's physical condition of an employee, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health, rather than professional competence of an individual, discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. Also, regarding collective bargaining for the Steelworkers Union, the Laborers Union, and all other unions. We're going to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares. We will move into executive session, be back here as close to 6:30 as possible. Thank you very much. I'd like to call to order the Select Board meeting of April 8th, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing while we honor our veterans, both here and abroad, past and present. Thank you very much. This is an open meeting. It's held in room 304. It is being recorded. All members are present, so all votes will be done on a hand-raising basis, not on a roll call. We have signed the warrant. Our election being held last week, we have a changing of the guard for our new year beginning today. We are, first and foremost, I'd just like to say, I'm just completing my second year as the chair of this committee. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve with all of you here. I thank you and look forward to 3 years of my changing role to be a member as opposed to the chair. Thank you for your indulgence and for your respect, and I appreciate it, and look forward to a productive year. We have some gigantic challenges ahead of us with lots of things going on in town, with projects important, and I look forward to answering those challenges with my colleagues. It's a pleasure and a privilege to serve with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I entertain a motion for a new chair of the Select Board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Sean McDonald as our next chairman for 2024-2025.
And I'll second that.
Second that. Any discussion on the motion? Are we prepared to vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I hear none. 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. McDonald. We ready to move? Or are we going to go on the vice chair?
No, please rotate seats.
Then you can do that.
With that, I'd like to entertain a motion that we nominate.
No, you don't do that. I do that now. I'm now the chair.
Oh, for the vice?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a nomination. Here's your water.
Thank you.
All right, can I have a nomination for vice chair?
I'd like to take this opportunity to nominate Stan Mickelson as the vice chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, on the motion, any questions? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None, unanimous. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Stanley.
Getting towards the window.
One more vote, David, and you're at the door.
If you don't want me around, just let me know.
I've
Just
got the
give it
key.
to me straight.
I've got the key to the window, too. Okay.
Different weather over here.
Yeah, nice, huh?
All right, before we begin, I just want to thank David for his 2 years as chairman of the board. David became really involved as chair in a lot of things going into town, and I'd like to see that continue in any of the committees that David's on. I would like to see him continue being active as he is. And I think that's, yeah. And prosperity. And I'd like to continue that. I also like to welcome Chris O'Neill as our newest member. Congratulations on your election, Chris, and we look forward to 3 years of your knowledge and your effort in making this a better board. I'd also like to...
Congratulations. Thank you.
I also want to thank Frank Gracie for his 9 years on the board. This last year hasn't been good to Frank, and I only wish Frank a speedy recovery and wish him well health-wise. So with that, first item on the agenda, we have a 6:30 hearing for the Fiesta Shows Carnival application. I now declare the hearing open. We have a representative from the mall of the carnival here.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm John Flynn. I'm the Vice President of Dean and Flynn, doing business as Fiesta Shows, here before you tonight to request our, I believe it's the 6th or 7th Carnival over at the mall for May 12th, May 2nd to May 12th.
Okay. All right, and we have the times you're looking, the dates you're looking for?
May 2nd to May 12th.
Okay, Thursday, Friday from 5 to 10, Saturday, Sunday, 1 to 10, so no festival on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And the location this year has changed?
totally changed. We're now in the front of the mall. Last year, as you know, we were in the back portion of the mall. We've moved back to the front of the mall where I believe it was 7 years ago. We were in approximately the same location.
Yeah. You were further down in front of all these, now you're going to be over in between Taco Bell and Buffalo Wild Wings?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Has this gone through all the boards so far, or just?
We have our safety officer, Officer Canario here. He can answer some questions. I know they're still working together on the
Okay,
finalizing
but that's
information.
still, the safety officer's still working on some of the details, and also the health department's also still working on details, because I know you didn't serve food or anything last year.
Correct.
Okay, so all that situation's going to be taken care of?
All already taken care of.
Okay, all right, good.
Also sent out the abutters list to all of the abutters that I got from
Okay, and
Town
we
Hall.
appreciate that. All right, as this is a public hearing, I will entertain any citizen who'd like to come forward who would be in favor of this. Okay, being none, I'd like to entertain any citizen who would be against this. Okay, I'm assuming because of the location, it's a lot more palatable for the people living in Seabury Heights, so I'm going to close this hearing. All right, board, what's the decision?
Motion to approve.
Based on approval by the
Yep.
police and health.
Yeah, based on approval by.
All approvals.
By all of approval. The only ones left, I think, is the police details.
Already talked to the police department about the details. Naturally, whatever they decide upon is what we go with. They know public safety better than I do. And if I could, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to modify that in one way. Because of the weather conditions, I think I'd like to get the approval for the entire week, knowing full well that in the past, we've closed for 1 or 2 days because of weather. This way, it would give us, I guess I'd call them rain dates, if we opened up that Monday, Tuesday.
Any problems with that?
I would talk to the safety officer to see if they have concerns.
Officer Canario, any concerns of that?
All right.
And during the week, it'd be the 5 to 10 hours, if it was during the week, that you open as opposed to the weekend hours?
Correct.
Excuse me.
So the motion would be to approve and to withhold that motion until,
Well, we just said that. The motion is to approve and withhold it until the safety officer signs off on the additional days if possible.
okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, on the motion, is there any questions? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, good luck.
Thank you. Good seeing you again.
Okay.
Take care.
Good luck.
And thank you for the neighborhood for coming out.
Sean, when you said, is anyone in favor of this?
That was quick.
You got room for 11 little boys in there? They should have come running in. Didn't say anything.
Because they're smart.
Cleaned them all out.
Okay, we'll just clear out the room.
I was hopeful that some of them were for
Sure, they're
others.
very healthy.
Never the case.
The cops are leaving, everybody's leaving, David.
Maybe I had something to say. I figured I was gonna jump in around. Not happy. Oh, yeah, I guess they're ready, okay.
Kids. BJ's.
License. BJ's.
John, you want to
Okay.
consider doing the kids first?
No, we'll just get the BJ's this thing here. All right, the next item on the agenda, we have the BJ's Wholesale Club, the change of the manager to Peter Avery.
Can we have some quiet back there, please? Thank you.
Okay, so this is just strictly a manager change?
Yes.
Okay. The former manager, I can't remember her name.
Don Goldstein.
Thank you, okay. All right, and you're going to be the new manager? Okay. All right. Board, questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
Mrs. Brooks. On the question, any motion? Any questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. All right, good luck.
Thank you, Board.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have a recognition of the 2024 Metro West Division I Fifth Grade Boys Championship. It's the boys' turn, as the last time we had a team from Metro West, it was the girls. So, all things being equal, congratulations, guys. Appreciate it. Coach Kalavec. Come to the podium. So just kind of give an explanation as to how the team gets to be and what they went through to do what they had to do other than win games.
Well, they played together as a team, and they battled through it, and they played some of the best teams in the state, and it was very impressive. So I couldn't be more proud of the kids. And, I mean, really, it wasn't me at all. Coaches lose games, and players win games. So, I mean, it's really these kids here that did it. So super proud of the kids. And last year we made it to the championship. We lost by 2 points, probably my fault. And this year we made it to the championship. We won by 2 points.
Your fault, too.
All things being common.
So, I was super proud of the kids. And like I said, you guys should stand up, show yourselves.
Yep, please stand.
Mighty proud.
So we're looking at possibly
Well, they're
2028 or 2029 high school freshman basketball team here. I think that's...
Something like that,
graders
fifth grade.
now.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so what we have here is we have citations to give to the team and everybody. So if you come up, please come up and accept your citations and the handshakes of everybody on the board. So hopefully I got this correct in alphabetical order, and if I screw up your last name, I'm sorry. So Braden Bileski. Logan Bileski.
How do you tell who's who, right? Who's who?
Lucas Diaz. Dominic Medeiros.
Dominic. Hey, come on up. Come back down.
Handsome kid.
A kid with a great name, Sean Pimento.
Hey.
He's all 6'5" guys.
Austin Rodericks.
Hey.
There he is, 6'5".
Thank you. Congratulations. James Lissard.
Hey, James. All right, James. Taller. Okay.
You're gonna be pretty impressed with a guy that can wear sandals in April. Good job. Jacob Silva.
Jacob, all right. Oh, here's a tall guy.
Guys are showing up now, right?
Taller, yeah, they're getting taller.
You notice how alphabetical order still went by height?
How did that happen?
Coach Kalavec.
Medeiros.
Coach. Way to go, Coach. Congratulations. Thank you.
He's on a different team.
Oh, okay. All right. This is the names we got. Okay. All right. So you can take them both.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Great work.
Thank you. Good job.
All right. Well, guys, I want to just say, continued success. There is a grade 6 Metro West, right?
Yeah, it goes 4th to 8th grade.
Okay. All right. So we expect to see you here next year? Okay. All right. Good job, everybody. Thank you so much.
And thank you, parents, for trudging all over the state to
That's
play
the
ball.
other thing, it's the parents. Trust me, I've been involved with that before. I've got a granddaughter that's on the travel team for softball, but my son did travel, soccer. It's brutal. It really is.
All about
But
the family.
the reason why you're there is because your kids and the love of the kids, and that itself is great. Thanks to the parents, but also thanks to the grandparents too. So because without your support, they can't do what they do.
Amen.
So thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Go home and do your homework.
Sisters and the sisters.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you, my
A lot of hardware over there.
Boy, look at it.
Okay. Next, we have an appointment to the Conservation Commission. Elizabeth DiPaolo.
Come on up, Elizabeth.
Good evening.
Evening.
Choke neighbor.
Neighbor, yes.
Neighbor.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Liz, and why do you want to be on the Conservation Commission?
Sure, absolutely. I've taken an interest in sort of town affairs and the work of the town for about 4 years now. I've been a town meeting member for the Precinct 4 of Dartmouth for the past 3 years. I just have a vested interest in learning, becoming educated about what the Conservation Commission does. Currently, I hold a position as an executive trade development manager for the state of Rhode Island for an alcohol distribution company. We deal a lot with regulatory, and so that kind of fits in, coupled in with what I foresee this position to be, with understanding the bylaws that need to be learned for the Conservation Commission. I do understand that I am green coming into this position, but I do have eagerness to learn. And I come to you from a very unbiased position in regards to learning, listening to my constituents who are already in the Conservation Commission, and also learning from them how this process goes. I think that I could provide a fresh new perspective to the group. And I also have a desire to see younger generations step forth and to become more involved in the town. It would be my goal to hope that from being appointed to this position, that it'll bring awareness that younger generations can be involved in the town's work. And I really would like to aid in that, that continuation of what you all have done so well for so many years. I have a vested interest in conservation, as well as land management, and so on and so forth. I'm just very eager to be involved in the town's work. And so, again, I come to you with an eagerness to learn, most importantly, and to gain education into what the Conservation Commission does. And hopefully I can be able to provide, again, another perspective into the group.
Great. Board members, any questions?
No, thank you for
We need
what you're
more
doing
like
and what you're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
And the time, and we all understand the amount of time that you have to give to all this.
Absolutely.
And it comes out of the desire to do it, so good for you.
Well, thank you for stepping up. It's great that we have fresh blood infused in a lot of the committees that we have. You will find the fellow members of your committee very knowledgeable in conservation aspect of it, but you also being part of a process that generally what Dartmouth does in conservation, other communities have a tendency to follow. So, so you'll fit right in well. And it is long, and sometimes, you're trudging through mud to view some things, so make sure you get a pair of high waters. You're definitely gonna need it.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they fit, because shoes get stuck in the mud, you don't want your feet coming out, so. But,
Couldn't agree more with you.
board member, motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Second.
Mr. O'Neill. Let's get him on the board.
Yes.
Any questions? All those favors say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
kindly.
Just see the town clerk to get sworn in, and then you're good to go.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, we have the appointment of the 2024-2025 Serpent Commission member appointment, which is going to be Mr. Vitale.
This is the annual reappointment of the representative from Dartmouth on the Regional Commission. Last year was Chris Vitale. I recommend doing the same for this year. Yeah, it's just
He did such a wonderful job last year. We're just going to have him do
Nominate
it again.
anybody but me. All right.
Motion
Anybody but me.
motion to reappoint Mr. Vitale.
Is there a second?
second.
Second made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Ms. Brooks, on the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. Okay, next we have the DNRT conservation restriction of the Lofberg property. And
There he is.
Mr. Wildman is here.
Boy.
Wow, get the head guy here.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Nick Wildman, the Executive Director of Dartmouth Natural Resources Trust. Thank you to the Select Board members for having me here tonight to present this request for approval of a conservation restriction. As you could see by the materials that I submitted, this conservation restriction is for approximately a 3-acre parcel in Padenarum, and I realized that the maps that go along with this were not too easy to read, so I've brought some extras.
Oh, great, great.
Just to be a bit clearer about which
Thank you.
parcel we're talking about here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's a little more clear here.
Nice piece of property.
It's my house.
It isn't anymore.
As some of you know, the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs has been taking record long time reviewing conservation restrictions. This CR was initially initiated and in fact brought before the Conservation Commission for their approval by my predecessor, Dexter Mead. And it's quite something to say. I'm coming up on 2 years almost at the position, and this one's been hanging on for quite a while. The reason why this conservation restriction is of interest to DNRT is to protect in perpetuity this relatively small lot, but really integral to this side of Apponeganset Bay. It's one of the, and it is actually, I think, the only remaining undeveloped lot on this side of the bay. And while many of these homes and lots that you see on the map in front of you have undeveloped land, which is salt marsh and other dune habitat, this would be the entire 3-acre lot, which does include some buildable upland. So from a conservation standpoint and from the standpoint of climate change resiliency and sea level rise, this is actually a very good opportunity from the conservation and environmental side of things, despite its small size. The conservation restriction is fairly standard. It's built off of the state's model CR. The only change to it is the allowance for Mr. Lofberg or their successors to keep a small kayak storage rack in this area, but otherwise remain undeveloped. Other than that, it's a fairly standard CR, and as I said, we've been kind of waiting for this to be ready for your review. Be happy to take any questions that you have about it.
Board members have any questions?
Question here.
Mr. Tattlebaum.
2 questions. The amount of wetlands on a percentage of this piece of property? Undevelopable wetland?
Of wetland is probably approximately 80%.
80%?
Yes.
Okay, and the second question is, and let's not, clarification. There's either going to be, you can put trails in, or there are trails there, but it's also not for public use. So could you explain that?
That's right. So the owner is interested in maintaining a mowed grass pathway down to the water that exists now. That path can be replaced, it can be maintained, but it can't be added onto or increased. So basically, we're maintaining this as wild coastline other than that pathway.
And what is that path for?
That's for the owner, it's private property, as you said, to access down to the water.
That would be used for his kayaking or whatever that.
Yeah, I think to get down to the water, right.
Anybody else have?
Open to the public.
This will remain private property. DNRT will hold the responsibility for inspecting it annually and ensuring compliance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Does DNRT have other properties that are private?
Yeah, and in fact, all of the conservation restrictions that we hold, much like how the town will hold a conservation restriction for a CPC grant, similar thing. The owner owns the fee ownership of the property, and we follow that in perpetuity, making sure that those owners are compliant, providing the conservation benefits.
Could I?
Mr. Talbot?
So just for my own clarification, the 80% of the land is wet and can't be developed and probably can't even be trailed or walked on. So basically, we're going to end up with a 3-acre parcel that's going to remain as it is, but private for not use except for the owner to use a pathway to get down to the water for himself.
That's right. There is some upland and forest land, and as we've all seen, just because something is a resource area doesn't mean it's completely not buildable. It just means it needs to go through the Conservation Commission and be reviewed under the bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act. So from a protection standpoint, I think the Board of Directors felt that this had enough potential for development that protecting it was a good responsibility for us to take on.
So it remains private, but it's non-developable.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone, anything further? All right, board's pleasure.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, 5-0. Okay, Mr. Wildman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We just voted on it.
To the next.
Different.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Elm Street handicap parking space, the sale loft. And who's here for that?
Tim Barber can answer, but I can give you some background, and I think he
They
can
had a
too.
prior engagement.
So the applicant, the sale loft, met with the planning board, and I guess Mr. O'Neill can provide some insight as well, about doing some expansion that required an additional handicap parking space. Because of limited space currently on the site in the rear of the building, they worked with the planning board and DPW and had reached approval from planning board and the DPW to install a handicap parking space in front of the sale loft on Elm Street. So they've submitted the request to the select board. Ultimately, the select board has to approve the request and also the funding of how the space will be constructed. So Mr. Barber is here tonight to kind of provide more detail on that if necessary.
I can say that, you know, the property owner had come forth and requested DPW look at the area as they were initially required as part of their expansion to install a handicap parking space, one additional. And they stated that the rear of the property was not feasible because their ramp, their handicap accessible ramp is in the front of the property. So they asked us if they could make the last space in front of the property the accessible space. So we had to look at it to see if there was an accessible route to the building. And it happens that there's a driveway apron just south to get to the back of the property. And that driveway apron was extra wide and extended in front of the next adjacent building. Well, typically driveway aprons are not considered accessible routes, but this one, since it extended further in front of the adjacent building, that, you know, we approved the location of a handicap ramp adjacent to that last parking space.
What did
They also, it was recommended that the town install this handicap detectable warning strip that was placed on the plan in May of 2023 in the handicap sign. You know, we wanted to make sure that it's ethical, that we're not installing a space for a private development. And, you know, so as we did, and we originally installed a couple spaces at the intersection of Bridge Street and Elm Street when the design was done for the streetscape of that area. And we created bump outs and we placed the handicap spaces adjacent to those bump outs and ramps, so it's the shortest accessible route. This wasn't done because it's a driveway apron, so like I said, it's not the most ideal, but it looks like it can be accomplished.
This does have the approval of the planning board, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Mr. Mickelson?
So, just to get one thing straight on this, sign, we did extensive work in the village, sidewalks, the new lighting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing that we missed was handicap parking. The only handicap parking from Bridge Street to the sail loft, say, or even past the yacht club, there is not one handicap sign. That should have been done when we did the street. at the town's expense, I think we should do it. Because, I mean, and that's only one handicap space for all those businesses that go to, from there to Bridge Street.
Mr. Barber, what would be the cost of doing this work?
I think the sign installation, well, the materials, about $300, and then,
Is there any work to be done for curbing or?
so there's no curbing, but there's to install a detectable warning strip, that
Yellow strip.
the pad.
Yep.
On the ramp, there is some work to be done to the concrete ramp as it is, so it probably have to be ground down and bolted and adhered to the existing panel.
Cost
So
wise?
maybe
Mostly man hours?
probably another $1,000 for that work. So probably around, $2,500 in total.
Right. Mr. O'Neill?
Mr. Chairman, I think the only two things that were exterior to this particular site plan were the grease trap, right? And
Correct.
the HP spot. This represents a significant investment on behalf of the owners of that particular restaurant. The site plan review process was adhered to, and they received unanimous approval from the planning board. I think it's not an exclusive space for this particular business, so it is in the village, and it is an additional HP spot. So we had no problem with it in my other committee.
Yeah, none of the spaces out on the street are exclusive to any business.
Right.
Correct.
Anybody else on the board? Mr. Tattlebaum?
You're going to have to cut the curb, or you're going to go through the street to around?
No, there's an existing, I can show you a picture. There's an existing apron
It's already
adjacent.
there. Look, watch.
Tim, how did you make out with the grease trap, by the way?
It's already cut.
It's already there, okay. Thank you.
I was there.
I know it is.
Were you able to get the grease trap settled and?
It was designed and approved, but I don't think they didn't ever install it. I think at the time that it got approved,
Yeah.
it was running into the summer season, so they didn't want to start construction at that point. So.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else on this matter? All right, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that the town puts the handicap spot at our expense.
As requested.
And as requested by Tim Barber.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Ms. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous. Okay, all right, that's taken care of. All right, next item on the agenda, we have the ARPA funding project update. Mr. McGinnis?
Mr. Barber is here to give an update on ARPA funding projects and also has a request for some additional funding for the board tonight. I'll let him give you the detail.
Mr. Barber?
Okay, so to date, so we've been working hard lately on working on submittals for the ARPA rescue plan for funding, mostly water and sewer projects. I'm pleased to announce that to date, we've been awarded just under $2 million from Bristol County ARPA for water and wastewater projects. One project in particular that was targeted for ARPA funding was the 579 Westport Road Clearwell backwash supply storage tank and pump station upgrades for water quality upgrades at the water treatment facility on Westport Road. That project was targeted for ARPA and with a estimated price tag of about $3.2 million for construction and design. The design was projected at $289,000 of this project. It wasn't approved in our capital plan last year, so to move it along, we phased the design. So phase one was funded by our Water Operation Emergency Fund budget of $50,000 for Phase 1. To finish this phase, they have an amendment to get us to June to get this project fully designed and advertised for bid. Their request is another $40,000. We currently don't have that funding in our operational budget, and we were asking if the revenue replacement ARPA funds, if there's any capacity to use some of those funds, this would be a $40,000 addition amendment to the contract. So I would request maybe $50,000 in case any contingency is needed.
Okay. Well, let's turn this over to our opera guru.
Yes,
Mr. McGinnis?
so the board voted last year to use some of the replacement funding for contingencies for projects as were bidding out a lot of projects and they were coming in over, even in the months. There was not much time between what the estimate was done and when they were coming in. So this is a good example of that, of needing those funds to kind of move forward. There is funding available that could cover the $50,000.
Okay. All right, so some of these other, I'm looking at the funded projects and over the time, and there's a few of them here that have been submitted, like the emergency generators at Moser and whatnot. What's the status on that?
Got awarded last week.
Got awarded last week?
It did, yes.
All right, that's good.
That was
What was the price tag on that?
$421,000.
Okay. The purchase and the installation of the two biofilters and blowers and VFDs.
That was awarded last week as well at
All right,
$57,850.
Okay, we're on a roll here. The rebuild the belt filter presses?
Yep, that was awarded last year at $685,046. And construction is, that project's been awarded, and it's supposed to start in early June.
All right. So I'm going to skip the ones that say were awarded. Then the 579, which we just talked about. How about the UV bulb replacement?
That was also approved about a month ago. It was awarded at $584,519.
Wow, ask 4 questions and get 4 good answers.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll here.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Asking questions. We'll give them
Yep,
a minute.
579, okay. All right, so
Is that the last of
telling
our
us,
projects?
what you're
that
telling
were-
us is that the funds that the town had designated for the DPW for ARPA funds are going to be pretty much spent, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Yes. Board members, any questions of Mr. Barber? Do we need a motion on the?
Yeah, so with the ARPA funding, the board needs to vote to use any of the ARPA funds. So you just need to vote to allocate $50,000 from the contingency fund, part of the revenue replacement, but you can just say $50,000 from the ARPA fund.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Do you have a balance, Tim, of the, what's been submitted, just not awarded?
Everything that has been submitted except for the design of the 579 OS Port Road has been approved, has been awarded for DPW.
The construction.
Yeah, well, we had submitted the design, and that didn't get awarded because of procurement, but every other project for DPW has been awarded. So there is no balance in the queue currently. So the construction of the 579 OS Port Road upgrades will be the next project that we're working to submit.
That's roughly $3.5 million, correct?
Correct.
Okay. $3.5 million, 50,000.
Clarification, the total that was awarded, a total between the county and the state available to us is, what's left on that balance? There is nothing left in the balance that has been accounted for?
So the county fund has a balance of $3,800,000, which we're presenting we're trying to present the 579 West Park Road project for that. But and there's also a contingency that I think 379,000 of that 3.8 as well. So that the project plus the contingency will about equal the rest of that fund.
Of the 3 million county?
Yes.
So we're confident that we're going to do what we need to do to get that county money?
Yes. And if there are any problems, any delays in the project, and we're not going to be able to get that project submitted in time, I do have about $7 million in other projects ready to submit that have been quoted, and they're ready to go. And I've actually submitted some of them to the county for some comments on the projects, on what would be approvable and not. So,
Is there any reason not to just keep submitting all those so that we have don't run any risk of not having enough?
it's just that we wouldn't be able to fund the large project, the water treatment project.
Is there a time frame for this now?
There is, yes.
Any other comments from the board? All right, do I have a motion to approve the $50,000 from the ARPA contingency fund?
Motion to approve the $50,000 from the ARPA funds.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Ms. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. Okay, Tim,
Thank you very much.
go forth and build.
Spend money.
Good luck.
Both and Bill. Thank you.
Good luck.
I'll have a great night.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda affects 3/5 of us on the board. This is Older American Month for 2024.
Some are older than older.
I'm talking, yeah, some are older than us, some are more than that, that's for sure. Right, Mr. Tattelbaum?
All right, sir.
Okay.
Older than me.
All right, so we have Older America's Month of 2024. It's a proclamation whereas the town of Dartmouth includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their strength, wisdom, and experience to our town, our community, and whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, backgrounds are welcomed, included, and supported, and whereas the Dartmouth Council on Aging recognizes our need to create a community that provides the services and supports older Americans' need to thrive and live independently for as long as possible, and whereas the Dartmouth Council on Aging can work to build an even better community for our older residents by planning programs that encourage independence, ensuring activities are responsive to individual needs and preferences, increasing access to services that support aging in place. Now, therefore, the Select Board of the Town of Dartmouth do hereby proclaim May 2024 to be Older Americans Month in our town of Dartmouth. We urge every resident to recognize the contributions of our older citizens, help create an inclusive society, and join efforts to support older Americans' choices about how they age in their communities.
Thank you.
On the motion, any questions?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Congratulations.
Do I have a motion to approve the proclamation?
Motion to approve the proclamation.
Okay, there is no conflict because you guys are older, so just to let you know.
Can I take advantage of
Is there
this?
a limit on the age? No. Okay, good.
Where do I sign?
It'll come.
second
Motion
that.
made by Mr. Temple, motion made by Mr. Tettelbaum, seconded by Mr. Mickelson. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Unanimous.
Did you submit that?
Mr. McGinnis will use the stamp because the proclamation we have has an incorrect date on it, so we'll take care of that. No problem. All right, next item on the agenda. Because we have a brand-new member on the Select Board, we now have a vacancy on the Planning Board. Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Your term on the Planning Board would be up when? Well, I guess it doesn't really make a difference, because the person, if we appoint somebody to the Planning Board, they would have to run for election next April anyway.
Right.
So, all right, so
For a full term?
so what we need to do is we,
No,
well,
we can
it would
appoint
be,
somebody for the-
well, no, we would appoint somebody to the election next year, and if there's any remaining years on Mr. O'Neill's previous term, they would have to run for election for the remainder of that term. So if he has 2 years left, they get appointed for one, and then if they wish to run, they would run for the 1-year term.
Okay.
So,
It's complicated.
no, not really. It's pretty much the way it's been done all, All right, so what we do is we need to advertise.
For letters of interest. from
Yep,
the
letters of
public.
interest from the public as to whether or not you wish to be appointed to the planning board. Please submit it to the select board, and then once we have the applications, we will submit it to our membership and also to the remaining members of the planning board. We'll sit down, interview the people, and then make a decision.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
Could
Tattelbaum.
maybe Mr. Neal give a little info as to what the kind of the job requires and what it does?
Absolutely, Mr. Tattlebaum. I think it's important. I've spoken to a couple of people already, so there is definitely some interest in this open position. It is a commitment of every other Monday, and the meetings last maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours. We have chosen in the past to be remote, so you can stay home. I've actually, like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I actually attended a meeting on vacation because we needed a vote. So I'm not sure how long that'll last or if the board will make that change to be in person, but it's completely up to them now. And there is definitely some interest in it. If you are in the design field, construction field, just about any interest in building, conservation, it really makes, it's a nice board, and you've got some great members over there that will help you, in the learning curve, and they were very, very supportive of me, and, it's a great board to join and get your feet wet.
Excuse me.
Well, it's a full term is 5 years, so and it does take a lot of studying and especially with zoning, all the nuances that are zoning. So, but by having an experienced board, the new member would easily fit in. So, if you're interested, please submit your name and a brief resume to the select board as soon as possible. We'd like to get this position filled within 30 days.
Also, with the amount of infrastructure improvements and money being spent going forward in long-term capital planning, it becomes even that much, because planning board cuts across
Correct.
just about every committee and plays a real part in planning the future of the town.
Correct. Okay, all right, so we'll get that taken care of.
Should reapply.
What's that? I'll do it part-time, yeah.
No, you can't.
We
do
have
it.
to go over the meeting dates.
Meeting dates for the select board. The proposed meeting dates are April 22nd.
So if I
May-
can stop you right there.
All right.
So on the 22nd, that's a Jewish holiday. I think
Really? Doesn't show up on my calendar as a Jewish holiday.
it is.
Yeah, because
Passover.
we did make an effort. We looked them up, but it's sort of.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, so
so we could do the following Monday.
And then we'd be back to back.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll
well,
be back
the
to back.
15th, the 15th is Patriots' Day, so it's also tax day for 49 states. Massachusetts,
Except
it's
us,
the
not
17th.
us, right, we're the 17th.
Okay, so we'll move the April 2nd meeting to April 29th. It's May 6th and May 20th. June 3rd, June 17th. Yep,
There's an error on here. The 13th is the last day for the board to vote and sign on the warrant, but if we want to do the 29th and the 6th, we can have it ready for the 6th.
Could you repeat that,
yes,
Mr.
if you
McGinn?
can, yeah, all right. This May 13th has to be the deadline to signing the warrant for town meeting.
So we can leave it at the 6th, but you might want to just have a placeholder in case you need to meet on the 13th just to
Okay.
vote.
All right,
So maybe May 13th. Okay.
yep, put a maybe May 13th.
Well, do we want to skip the 6th and go to the 13th?
I have that
To be back to back.
FinCom meeting.
And then you're gonna make an adjustment for the 20th, then you're gonna have back
No,
to back in May.
No, I was only addressing the fact the 13th is,
You can leave it open.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we're gonna, let's do that at once more. We're eliminating the
So May-
22nd,
We're eliminating the 22nd, going to.
29th.
Going to April 29th.
I will join by Zoom on the 29th because I won't be in Dartmouth.
Okay, that's fine. You can do hybrid. And then we'll do
Maybe.
May
May 6th, maybe May 13th, May 20th, June 3rd, June 17th, July 8th. Let me get to the 8th. Okay. July 8th, July 29th. Yep. August 12th and August 26th. September 9th, September 23rd. When is Yom Kippur? And
No,
all set.
the other holidays are
it's
fine.
all set?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for asking.
All right, I wanted to make sure, because usually it's around September, correct?
It is.
Okay.
Sometime, yeah.
October 7th and the 21st, November 4th and, November 4th and November 18th, December 2nd and December 16th for the remaining of 2024.
There's a couple of dates that I know that I will not be available, but now that we have 5 healthy members, I'm
Yep.
confident that we'll have a
All
quorum.
right, excellent. Okay, all right, and we just send us out a new schedule
Well,
so that.
on the other hand, we do have an option if it comes up that we can possibly make a switch down the road as well.
Right. Currently, we do have the option to do a remote if it's possible, and if not, we also can always change these at any kind of given time.
Yep.
So it's what we post is when our meeting is, so.
So you send that out, right?
Yep. I'll send it out
Thank you.
tomorrow, yep.
Yep.
Okay, that concludes all our items. Next is the town administrator update.
Yes, let's see. We're still in the process of preparing the town meeting warrants, the annual and special. We're just about done with those. There's some wording to get clarified and waiting on a little bit of other information. The budget is just about finalized. We're still meeting with the Finance Committee and the Capital Planning Committee to finalize those. A lot of planning for the future going on right now. There's the library strategic plan. The school is doing a strategic plan. The Council on Aging is working on their master plan. And then you saw last week the DPW is doing their water and sewer rate study. So a lot of planning going on right now, which is great news. And along those lines, the Recreation Center Building Committee will be interviewing applicants for the owner's project manager who had submitted to the RFQ. Tomorrow and Wednesday, so we had a lot of great applicants in there, so very strong candidates, so that was positive. We received a residential energy assistance grant of $35,188 for our heating assistance program that we do annually, so thanks to Chris Vitale for working to put that together and get that awarded. And one item to note, just to make the board aware, you're already aware of some of it, we're receiving a number of open meeting law complaints on a number of boards and committees. We're sending out reminders. We'll be sending out a reminder again to all boards and committees to be cognizant of the open meeting law. It's just becoming a significant time expense and also a financial expense to the town because town council has to work to reply to these. So, we hope the board will urge all other boards and committees to make sure they're complying to open meeting law. And that is all I have.
Old business.
Question on that open meeting law? Is it advisable that we have maybe one workshop to invite members? Because
Well, we don't have to have a workshop, but town council would have to have a workshop.
no, I mean, the town in some form has a workshop to let people, and invite at least one person from each committee. I think that may get the message out, because it sounds like,
Well, we can do that, but also there's information on the website from Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts, on that, which we can refer to, once we find out what they are, just send out an email to all the board members.
I agree with Mr. McDonald here. I think if we tried to schedule a training, I don't think we'd get as much turnout. When would it be during the day? It's just hard to coordinate schedules with that many boards and committees. I think if we
Just
just.
a reminder to all the chairmen and board members.
Yeah, and I would just.
We have talked about that before, because I also think that there's a need to direct the committees and boards about filing their open meeting, setting the agenda, and the forms that people are using when I look on. Some are handwritten, some are, we need to be a little more consistent.
Yeah, we need to set up, I think we need to set up a standardized set of,
It's
set of way to
also-
how to do a meeting and whatnot. I mean, the thing is that, we have, because of everything is available online, because all, meetings are televised and recorded and whatnot. There are individuals out there whose sole purpose in life is to make complaints on open meeting laws that they deem, is necessary. We know of a particular individual who has done this to Dartmouth, but he's also done it to Seekonk, he's done it to Swansea, he's done it to Somerset, and he no longer lives in Massachusetts.
No,
which is fine. It's well within his right to do so. So what we need to do is we need to be a little proactive on getting standardized forms to all the boards when they hold their meetings, and this is the format that they have to follow, and go forth.
Well, I agree with that, but I also think that other towns, there's been some monumental issues that happen in other towns that we've been very fortunate. They've turned into some pretty ugly situations in towns because of how we conduct and how we have open meetings. And complying to the law and following it, I think, avoids those issues as best we can, because we've been very, very lucky that we haven't had issues.
Right.
And they could come along at any time.
And part of the thing, too, is that the state sometimes is negligent in sending out the information, too. So, I mean, they make the laws, but they don't tell us anything about it, and then we find out at a later date something's wrong. So,
But we've all seen videos of open meetings that turn into something that, because rules weren't followed or because we weren't conforming to what the letter of the law.
as long as it's not us.
Well, we have to be concerned because
Concerned, yeah.
it's going to, at some point, if we're not careful, it will be us.
As long as, I think like I said, if we send out,
Maybe we could end up with a signature back from the chair of the committee that says, we have reviewed this with our committee, we understand the rules, we acknowledge there's an issue, and we will follow them, as opposed to just not getting a response.
that could be done, too.
And I understand it'd be hard to have a meeting, but I think that this is a serious issue. And I think that treating it a little bit differently would be helpful.
I think we can set that up. But if we send it out to one board, we send it out to all boards,
All of them, yes.
including the elected boards.
The return acknowledgement.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, we have the minutes of March 11th.
Old business.
Oh, old business, I'm sorry.
There's not much on there, but we usually go through
Mr.
it.
Tattelbaum kind of,
Threw you off your game.
yep.
Bliss Corner, no new updates. Lake Nokichoke, municipal broadband and Mass TV Title V amendments, all no new updates.
Okay.
Now minutes.
All right. Now, the minutes of March 11th, 2024.
Good to me.
Everybody, are they good on it?
I reviewed them and did not see any issue.
To me.
So are you going to make a motion to approve?
I will motion to approve the minutes of March 11th,
All right, is there a second?
2024.
Second, the,
Motion made by Ms. Brooks, seconded by Mr. Mickelson. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
All right, one abstention. So it's 4-0 and 1, with Mr. O'Neill abstaining, as he didn't attend the meeting. Okay, select board updates. Mr. Tattelbaum, you have any updates?
I look forward to issues going forward, as I said before, that we really have to wrestle with. At this point, I'm leading towards capital long-term planning, as I usually do. I think it's important to keep it out in front all the time. But also another issue that I've been waiting for the election to come through that I at some point will present regarding how we handle our plastic heavy-duty, supposedly reusable plastic shopping bags, and even the possibility of what we do and how we deal with NIPS bottles. I think it's an issue we should face and let the public decide if they, which way we want to go, and present in a way that people can vote on and decide how they want to go with it. I think they're important, and I look forward to presenting that to this group in the very near future.
Okay. Mr. Mickelson, you have anything?
no, I just have some information, so
We'll
I'll
get
wait
to the
till.
information. Okay.
I'll wait for that.
Ms. Brooks?
No, nothing.
Mr. O'Neill? Not to put you in the hot
No, I
spot.
just want to thank you all for welcoming me, and I look forward to working with you.
Okay, the only thing I have, I'm going to do things a little bit different when it comes to contract negotiations. What I'd like to do is, one of the things that I've been hearing out there is that, and I know it not to be true, that the board doesn't get all the information that is held in negotiations. And I know we do, because it's based upon the information that we get, that we make our decisions. So what I'm proposing, and I want the board to think about it, is having a member of one of us attend and observe only, with keeping our mouths shut during negotiations. That one take the police, one take steel workers, one take labor, the laborers, the DPW laborers, one take town hall employees. And I also want to revive, because we only have 4, and I want to make sure all 5 of us are involved. I want to revive the select board representation on the school committee when it comes time to their negotiations. Now, whether or not, I know that used to be a thing, it hasn't been done in a number of years. I like to revive that. So I want you guys to chew on that for a little while. I have an idea on who I'd like to appoint to who. I can tell you this right off the bat, I don't want to do the laborers because I can't. So just to chew on that, and we'll think about that. I know that's something that I'd never talked to Mr. McGinnis about it, but I think it's just, I think if we're just there, sometimes it makes everybody feel good. And I think that's what we want to do. But the one codicil that I will state is that we don't say anything. We let the people do the negotiations, talk and do the negotiations. We're there to observe. That's all. So, all right.
And while you mentioned that about the school committee, I was the one that represented, in 2014 was the last time we did it.
And I did it back in 2012.
And there was a bit of pushback even in 2014.
It is what it is. All right, so the other thing is, everybody seemed to have made a comment about it today, is the town hall parking. One of the things that I've been asked by residents is that during election times, there's very limited parking back here. So I'm wondering if we could have town vehicles park over in the stadium or below in the stadium during town election days, so that it frees the parking lot for people to come in and vote, especially in November, because we're going to have a lot of people voting in November. So
How are they going to vote?
who cares, as long as they vote.
Okay.
So, and that way it's free. The other thing is, I would like a letter sent to the school department to remind them that we do have meetings on Mondays, and there are meetings sometimes on Tuesdays, and there are sporting events that do occur in the spring and in the fall. And it would be greatly appreciated if they would have a staff member out here to just kind of let everybody know that, you know, there's parking available all in front of the middle school, because sometimes we have people coming into meetings who are not that mobile, and parking behind Town Hall to come into Town Hall via the handicap entrance or the easy entrance to use the elevator sometimes is a lot better than having them park all the way out either in the street or in front of the middle school and then walking this way. So if we could remind them to be aware of that. I know we've asked them in the past, but lacrosse started today, and there was one space available in the back. So,
Also, not only sporting events, but if there's an event in the auditorium at the middle school.
Yeah.
for the most part, usually the meetings start a little bit more earlier than that. But yeah, I mean, that will be happening because you will have spring concerts coming up.
It happens.
And then you'll have the graduations. But
Pending the proper
the
time.
graduations are held at the high school now, aren't they?
Not the middle school graduation.
Not the middle school, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, middle school's held at the high school.
No, last year they did it
They
here
did
in
it
the
here?
stadium,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, oh, it didn't,
And so this year it should actually be a Friday night for that to happen.
all right, well, that's good, because there's no town business on Friday night, so.
No.
Okay, so with that, anybody have anything else?
I have one thing.
Mr. Mickelson.
Mr. O'Neill, I want to welcome you.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But I have something I'd like you to, because it's dear to your heart and it's part of your past performance in the planning board. I'd like to know a lot more about the accessory dwelling units, ADUs as they call it, as you would call it. And we're talking about elderly, and I think it's a great segue into what we just went through and we adopted. So could you just highlight some of the things that your board has brought before?
Sure, this is, Mr. Mickelson, this is something that really started, I think, with the master plan. And when it came to implementation, there are only certain ways that we can expand on the housing in the town without significant development. And everyone knows we have a housing issue in the town and also in the Commonwealth. So what we thought was, okay, we delved a little bit on the planning board, we delved a little bit more into exactly what the needs are of the senior population. And most of us have heard from elders that would rather stay in their homes, but they have a very difficult time either making it handicapped accessible or using the durable medical equipment inside the space. And if you put on the current bylaw, I want to say it's 580 square feet or so. What we'd like to do is we'd like to expand the size of the units that are attached to the home up to 1,000 square feet. And for those that are not attached, you would only be able to add an additional unit to an existing structure if it were built prior to 2006. So we're keeping that part of the bylaw for consideration of the town. So if you had an older garage that was built in 1990 and you wanted to convert that to a living unit, you could. The membership of the planning board wants to make sure that certain things happen, that we expand the size of it to accommodate the needs of people that want to stay in the home, have an in-home assistant, perhaps, medical assistant. And also, we want to try and drive some growth in the town to try and increase the assessed value of some of the properties. We also want to, that would also drive some of the increased fees for the town and income. And, we'd help out the artisans, we'd help out all the plumbers, the electricians, and keep them from having to travel as much to get some work done. And essentially just drive some additional permits in the town. We don't think there'll be a huge uptake in it because you still have to adhere to all of the setbacks in the zoning bylaw. You have to deal with the DPW as far as the septic systems for up to 2 bedrooms. So all the other regulations come into you have to be compliant with. But I think it would drive some interest in properties with the older people that may have an opportunity to make that addition to the home and possibly have some additional revenue driven into the house to offset some of the expense in inflation. So right now they're meeting tonight also at the planning board to try and clean up some of the loose ends on this thing. But from the feedback that I've gotten so far about the idea of just the expansion of the size, it's been all positive. It's been all positive from the construction community, from the elders, and hopefully, we get some uptake. One of the main concerns is short-term rentals. We don't want to drive short-term rentals in town. We don't want the Airbnbs in those particular units. So we would restrict the length of time to at least 31 days. So we're very cognizant of keeping the neighborhoods. But we also want to make sure that if the units are rented, that the people in the neighborhoods become aware of who's there, and they make an addition to the neighborhood in a positive way. You want to know who your neighbors are, and the only way you do that is if you extend the amount of time that they're required to be in that unit. So,
Great.
yeah,
Thanks. Thank you.
in a nutshell.
Question?
Yes, David.
Is there a model out there that, town that has been successful with this kind of?
There are a ton of them. You know, the webinars that I've sat on, there was one Harvard webinar that they had done on this particular issue. Some of the, you know, as of right is where the state would like everything to go. But, you know, there's a balance there between, you know, just giving carte blanche as of right to building these things, to the feel of the neighborhood, the architectural aspects of the addition. So there is a little bit of control that we have to keep in the town on those things to address some of those. But some of the communities out west, I think, are just way too liberal on it. They're not as concerned as about the setbacks, say. You know, we want to continue to keep a lot of the regulation in the bylaws that is there. We want to adhere to those. But there are also opportunities to expand and help people in the same regard. So that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
Well, I think the expansion of the square footage from 580 to 1,000 would also allow for a two-bedroom addition, which would allow for a living attendant, you know, so which is important to for some care. Not necessarily, you know, everyone, but those that need it. So, yeah, it looks like it's something that needed to be revisited, you know.
Thanks.
Thank you. One more quick issue.
Sure.
Don't want to do it to adjourn too quickly.
I can't make a motion anymore.
Good point. We had some handful of very successful workshops over the last year or two, and I think that something we should not only consider. I throw this idea out there, but I also think there are some important boards and committees that maybe we should be as a group. Not that I want to throw more work on, but it be some type of defining what a role is of a liaison from this board onto others, and what is the purpose, and what and then assign ourselves the important these important boards, because as I keep hopping on long-range planning, these boards are going to become more important as we try to spend this money in a way that people understand and we can afford. And the way to do that is to be in concert with a lot of these boards. So I'm going to try to present that kind of issue going forward, that it is more work, but I think that it works. I looked at one town recently, and they had 13 select board members, but the amount of work and lists they put on as the liaisons within those committees and boards is astronomical. And I'm not asking for that, but there are some really important issues to handle with certain specific boards. So I'm going to consider that going forward. To present that.
I mean, I don't have any problems with that. I just say be careful what you wish for.
It's okay.
I don't have a problem saying, oh, we'll just make him the designated participant. Not like the designated survivor, but we'll make you the designated participant. Okay. All right, anybody have anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
I'll second that.
Ms. Brooks. Make it easy on the minutes. Just Mickelson, Brooks, Mickelson, Brooks. All right, any questions on the motion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None, unanimous. Good night, everybody.
10,000 people.